Welcome back, Weekly Wink News watchers. My name's Charlie Shortino.
Gretchen Stone here. We've got a lot of stories coming up next, including some like polar bears. Myth or real?
UWL graduation today in the local traffic.
Recycling. Is it really worth it? We'll find out next. But first,
we're joined with a couple of our literacy experts giving us the inside scoop on what's happening at the local Onalaska YMCA. To you, Gretchen.
Gretchen Stone here with Abby Stelmacher. Hi, Abby. We're so glad that you're here with us today.
Thanks.
So I'm just going to have you introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, why you're here, and then we'll dive into some questions.
Well, thanks. I'm so glad to be here. This is a dream, honestly, just to be on TV. What was the question?
Yeah, just introduce yourself.
Oh, of course. Yeah. So, I'm a college student, and I'm a reading buddy. So I've been reading with my buddy. She's in first grade. Her name is Kaylee. She reads at a first grade level. But yeah, that's what I've been doing lately.
All right, so Abby, the first thing I'm going to have you do is just kind of explain to our audience what Reading Buddies is. So what you've been doing at Reading Buddies. Just walk us through that, okay?
Right. Yeah. So Reading Buddies. We had Reading Buddies once a week, and we would go to the schools. We were there for about 30 minutes. So each week we had to plan a short lesson for our reading buddy, and the first week we had to assess them to see where their reading level was at, and we did a MIS-Q analysis. So we listened to them read and kept track of errors. And from then on, me and Kaylee just really worked on comprehension, decoding, and fluency.
Fluency?
You're confused. So, fluency, as Read Naturally says, reading fluency is made up of 3 components, okay? So it's an accurate reading of connected text at a conversational rate with appropriate prosody or expression, you know?
Oh.
So, like, you read well. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So we worked on that a lot. We had a lot of lesson plans specific to that, where we would, like, read slow or fast or different voices for expression.
Okay.
And then, we had a lot of lessons based on comprehension, and I would ask her about the text we read and what was happening, and she would answer questions, and she was good at that. She was really good at comprehension.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can you tell me about some of your favorite lessons?
Absolutely. See, Kaylee really liked Dr. Seuss.
Okay.
So the best lessons were the ones where we read Dr. Seuss books. And then sometimes we played a rhyming game with them, or we would play other games.
Yes. Okay. Was there anything within your lessons that did not work?
Yeah. See, sometimes I had this, great idea, and then Kaylee didn't like it. So some, for example, this one book was like a singing book, and Kaylee doesn't sing.
Okay.
So she didn't do it. She wouldn't do it. So I really had to learn, how to adjust.
Right.
How to,
yes, work with
think on the spot. Yeah.
Right.
So if she wasn't interested in what I had planned, or if she wasn't interested in the text just didn't work.
Okay. Yes, thank you. So my next question for you revolves around a hot topic these days, technology. And you see, I know that some classrooms use technology, some shy away from technology. So I just want to know, as a pre-service teacher, during Reading Buddies, did you use technology?
I'm so glad you asked. Because here's the thing, we did. We used iPads, kind of like an iPhone, but bigger.
Oh, okay.
So we used iPads, and kind of like the article from Max Cases says, teachers and research alike agree that using iPads in the classroom encourages students to be involved, and it encourages their enthusiasm. Okay. And as a reading buddy, a certified reading buddy, I can say I agree. Because Kaylee's favorite lesson was when we used the iPad. We played word bingo, which is exactly what it sounds like. You use words to make a bingo. Got it, bingo. So we did use iPads and technology, and I would say it definitely was one of the most successful lessons that we had, and I can definitely see how technology can benefit the classroom.
Mm. That's fascinating. It really is fascinating. So I guess a question I have off of that is, throughout Reading Buddies, what have you learned that you will be using in your future classroom?
That's a great question, because I really did. I learned a lot. I learned a ton. It's a great experience. One of the things I learned, like I mentioned earlier, is that you always got to be ready to adjust, because sometimes, even though you think you got the best idea ever, the kids just don't want to do it and just don't cooperate. So you got to be just ready to go with the flow and adjust. And with that, I learned always over plan, because sometimes I thought a lesson would go a lot longer, and then it's 30 seconds, and what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You know, nothing, because I didn't over plan. So learned that. I also learned a lot of good activities to use in my future classroom. Like I said, the app that I use.
Right, Word Bingo.
Word Bingo was really great. Used some, like, comprehension games, you know, and things like that. That was great. And one more thing. Yeah. I've learned that if the student is not interested in the text they're reading, they won't do it.
It's a no-go?
It's a no-go. It's an absolute no-go. Okay. So you got to know your students so you know what they're interested in.
Right. Okay. Great answer.
I know.
Thank you so much. With that, we actually have another reading buddy coming in. Going to be answering a few more questions, a different perspective. We're all for different perspectives here. So with that, Abby, thank you so much again for coming in and sharing all.
You can follow me on Instagram. Can I just say that last guest that we had was one of the most insightful, well-mannered, well-spoken guests that we've ever had on this show. Literally ever. But now we're joined here with someone else who's going to tell us a little bit more about the Reading Buddy program. So why don't you go ahead and just introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. My name is Maddie Kep, and I too was a reading buddy at the same location that Abby, our previous guest, was, on Alaska local YMCA.
Awesome. So like our last guest, why don't you go ahead and just give me kind of a run-through of kind of a typical day of Reading Buddies for you and what that looked like?
For sure. So, like Abby mentioned, all of the Reading Buddies started on the same page going through a MISCU analysis, which is basically just analyzing the student as they're reading and placing them at a level, a grade level. So what that is, for those of you who are unaware, is, as Reading Charlotte says, when a child is reading on grade level, it means that he or she has mastered the skills that they need to read and understand words and sentences in books at the expected level of difficulty.
Oh.
So in this particular case, Andy, although he was in first grade, was reading at a third grade level based on the MISCU analysis that I completed with him.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yes, exactly. So from then, Andy and I set up goals.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the website Teacher Vision says in setting up a Reading Buddies program, first establish the goals. Goals. So Andy and I, some of our goals were to work on getting him to a place where he can move up another reading level. So as he was at a third grade reading level, by the end of the semester, we wanted him to be at a fourth grade reading level.
Yeah.
Third to fourth. So in some of those ways, more simpler goals, we wanted to work on fluency, comprehension, decoding, and writing or using correct sentence structure.
That's great.
Yes.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So, tell us about some of your specific lessons, why don't you? Like, what worked, what didn't work, you know? Give us the details.
I would love nothing more. So, Andy and I read a variety of different books. Some were more challenging than others, which was actually one of the most difficult things that I experienced with Andy is when he would be extra challenged, he would give up. So you really got to find that sweet spot of the book still being challenging, but not to a point where they get discouraged. So Andy himself, really interested in turtles. Loves turtles, has 2 pet turtles.
Save the turtles.
Save the turtles, yes. He is all for saving the turtles. One that did work that just comes to the forefront of my brain right now is when we were reading a book about turtles. So he was engaged, extremely engaged. And what we did first, though, is we went through and Andy looked at the illustrations. Just the illustrations, no text. And he would predict what was happening because of those illustrations. And then we went back and read it, and he was fascinated. He was fascinated with how he saw the correlation between what he perceived was happening with the illustrations and what actually was happening. And when he was right and when he was wrong. A great learning experience for him, super fun for him. Another quick thing that worked, if you don't mind me, was when I would read one page and Andy would read the next. And by me just modeling for him how to read the next part really improved his fluency.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you mentioned that this was a great learning experience for Andy, but sounds like it was a great learning experience for you too. So,
100%.
Why don't you tell us some things you learned and how you plan to apply that as a future teacher, future educator, if you will?
Yes, thank you. I learned so much from this experience. One of the things that I really learned is just the variety of different ways to assess students. Because you think assessment, and you think test, quiz, exam.
That's what I think.
Exactly. But assessing is so much more than that. It can be something as simple as observing, you know, or just having the student retell the story that he or she just read. So yeah, there's really a lot of different ways to assess a child.
Love that. Well, sounds like it was a wonderful experience for you. I'm so glad that you could come in here and just tell us more about it.
I'm so grateful.
Yeah. So with that, we're gonna take it back to Gretchen to close us for the evening.
Gretchen Stone back here.
With Charlie Shortino. That was a wonderful opportunity we just had there to hear from our local reading buddies.
It really was.
I learned a lot.
You know, we're just so appreciative for the future educators out there who are doing things such as being reading buddies.
So with that, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back
with the polar bears, myth or true. We'll find out later.
Find out.
Thank you.